Okay, let's talk about it. One of the most mysterious and, let's be real, nerve-wracking parts of buying or selling a house, the home appraisal. It's that one visit that feels like a final exam for your house, and it leaves you wondering, what in the world are they actually looking for when they show up with a clipboard and a camera? Are they judging your taste in art? That pile of laundry? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain and see your home exactly the way an appraiser does. So here's our game plan. We're going to take a guided tour right through an appraiser's eyes. We'll kick things off with the basics, then we'll check out the exterior and the interior. We'll talk about what actually adds or subtracts value, and then we'll clear up the single biggest point of confusion: how this is not a home inspection. But before we start that walkthrough, we've got to set the foundation, so to speak. What is the actual goal here? Why does this even happen? It all comes down to one thing: determining the fair market value. Really, all that means is it's a professional's best guess of what your home is worth. They figure this out by looking at its condition and, this is key, comparing it to similar homes that have recently sold nearby. You'll often hear those called comps. And listen, this number isn't for the seller and it's not for the buyer, it's for the lender. The bank wants to make sure the loan they're giving out is for a house that's actually worth the money. So the key thing to remember is that an appraiser is focused on the big picture stuff. They are not sweating the small stuff. They're looking at the home's general condition, its size, any major features, how solid the structure is, and just its overall habitability. Is it a safe, functional place to live? They really aren't there to nitpick about a scuff on the wall. All right, our tour starts now. And believe it or not, the appraisal begins before anyone even rings the doorbell. That first impression starts from the curb, and it's all about the exterior and the bones of the house. So they're doing a big visual sweep of the fundamentals. They're looking at the foundation for any big, scary cracks that could point to serious problems. They're looking up at the roof's condition, because a leak isn't just a drip, it can cause major damage that a lender sees as a huge financial risk. They're also noting the state of the siding, the windows, the gutters. Even the driveway and the size of the lot play a part. And yep, that overall curb appeal definitely factors in because it's a sign of how well the home's been maintained. Okay, let's move inside. As soon as they step through that door, the appraiser's job is to document all the features and the condition of the interior. But there's a really important distinction in how they do this. On this right here is the absolute key. They are documenting what they can see. This is a visual overview, folks, not some deep dive mechanical test. They aren't going to, run your dishwasher for an hour or pressure test your pipes. It's all about what's observable on the surface. Inside, they're basically just verifying the stats that directly impact value, like, yep, it has 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. They'll measure the square footage to make sure it's accurate, but they are looking for red flags, signs of neglect like water stands on the ceiling or busted up floors, because those can point to bigger hidden issues. They'll give a quick visual check to the major systems, and they'll also look for basic safety stuff, like whether there are handrails on the stairs, which can actually be required for some loans to get approved. So now that we know what they're looking for, let's talk about what really moves the needle on that final number. What kind of stuff actively boosts the value, and what can seriously drag it down? It really comes down to permanent improvements versus signs of neglect. The value boosters are things that are built in and there to stay. A beautifully updated kitchen, a finished basement, new energy-efficient windows, those add real, marketable value. On the flip side, the value detractors are almost always about deferred maintenance. Peeling paint isn't just an eyesore. To an appraiser, it could hint at moisture problems. Broken appliances mean the property hasn't been cared for, and that signals risk and immediate cost for the next owner. And this brings us to what is, without a doubt, the single biggest mix-up for both buyers and sellers. You're probably sitting there thinking, wait a minute. Isn't this just a home inspection with a different name? It's a totally fair question, but the answer is a hard no. They are 2 completely different things with 2 completely different missions. Let's break it down. The main goal of an appraisal is to figure out the value for the lender. The goal of an inspection is to find problems for the buyer. The scope is totally different too. An appraisal is that high-level visual overview we talked about. An inspection is a deep dive. They're going to test the HVAC system, get way up into the attic, something an appraiser might just do a quick head and shoulders peek into. So, if you remember one thing from all of this, let it be this right here. An appraisal is for value, a home inspection is for condition. One protects the bank's investment, the other protects the buyer's. All right, let's wrap this up with the key takeaways. An appraisal is all about finding the value for the lender, and it focuses on the big stuff like the roof and foundation. Those permanent, built-in upgrades, they add real, tangible value.
But letting things go, that deferred maintenance, can pull your valuation down. And at the end of the day, the whole process is designed to protect the lender's investment. So the next time an appraiser is scheduled to come by, you'll know exactly what's going on. It's not about having a perfect, spotless house. It's about demonstrating value, safety, and a solid structure. The real question is, now that you know what they're looking for, is your home ready for its close-up?